Hey up, you alright?
You're alright. Welcome to another White Tables Talks podcast with myself, Logan Smith, and today I'm not joined by my co-host, Doug Dennison. Doug is actually a guest today. We wanted Doug to come on as a guest today just to tell his story and where he's been through. I've got a number of questions for you, Doug, just to ask you a bit more about our business side of things and not just about the charity side.
Fantastic.
So I wanted to ask you a bit more about that and a few challenges and stuff like that you've faced. But really I wanted to get you on to tell your story, because I think your story is it captures me every single time I listen to it, and I've listened to it, I'd probably say over 100 times, a couple of hundred times, and it gets me every single time still. And so I wanted to get it across, and for the people that watch it, you'll obviously be able to see Doug, but for the people that are listening, I'm going to give you a bit of a background on Doug, on so who you are, age, where you come from, maybe something about that. Let us know who is Doug Dennison, or Dougie D, or Doug.
Well, you know, you've known me now 13 years going on. But for those that don't know it, I'll introduce myself. My name is Doug Dennison. I'm one of the founders at UNMASK. I'm one of the directors of our business, and I'm originally from Sobby Bridge. That's where we live now. That's where we're based.
Calderdale,
West
Yorkshire.
West Yorkshire, yep. What else did you want to know? This is a bit weird for me because it's normally me asking the questions with you.
Yeah,
so
I know, it is a bit weird, but I wanted to give him an example of sort of who Doug is, like, as in, you know, I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is later down the line is to say, look, this has all happened to you, this is who I am, this is where I came from, and mental health is an opportunity mongrel, and it doesn't discriminate on age or gender or where you're from or stuff like that. So for people that are listening, obviously they don't have a visual on you, but people that are watching can see them grey hairs poking through, so they know that you're a 38-year-old.
I'm actually 37. So yeah.
37-year-old.
I'm a 37-year-old from Calderdale, Halifax, as I said, Sobby Bridge.
Yeah.
My background is in sales, so you know I am just a normal Joe from a sales background.
Yeah. So before this, you was in sales.
Yep.
Any particular kind of sales?
Yeah, I was in car sales. So I started in car sales, and then I moved over to the commercial vehicle side. So I used to sell vans to massive organisations and stuff like that.
Yeah, big companies. So that's what I wanted to sort of get a brief of who you are. Obviously, I know who you are. I could have probably said that, but it's coming from you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And when we get into your story, and like I said, I want people to realise that it can affect absolutely anybody and everybody. Poor mental health, we'll say, not just mental. Everyone's got mental health. I hope you'd agree on that one.
I would agree. Everyone's got mental health, but there's two different kinds. There's poor mental health. There's good mental health. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So poor, good, and we'll use them sort of them sayings throughout these podcasts. Is poor mental health, good mental health, because we do have good days and we do have bad days. But yeah. So what I was sort of getting at is that, you know, you've come from a decent upbringing, decent background, had decent jobs, and then you've had a lot of trauma in your life. And just by hearing you speak out about it or seeing you speak out about it, for people that are watching, hopefully what I want is them to get confidence to speak about it, if you know what I mean, because I think that's what the whole thing that we're trying to go down is, you know, real people, real stories. And we've called it White Table Talks pretty simply because we sat at a white table.
Exactly.
There's no massive story behind it, but it is just literally we're going to sit down with people at our desk and have a straight up talk about what's happened in their life, what's going on in their life, things like that.
Definitely, what journey they've been led down to take them on the path they are now, kind of stuff.
Yeah, so starting with that, it's sort of fitting that you said that, is what actually brought you to where you are today, as in you've done your sales, you've done everything like that. I've known you for a long time, and we actually work together in bars and stuff like that, and we, you know, from a rugby background, we've never played on the same team, but
different codes, mate. Mine's better than yours.
Yeah, you're a Union fan. I'm a leaguey lad, but we've always had the same interests, things like that, same area we've come from and stuff. But something happened just over 10 years ago. Am I right? 10 years ago?
Well, 11 years ago now.
11 years ago. Something that happened 11 years ago that started it all off. Would that be pretty much putting the finger on?
Pretty much, yeah. I'd say you've hit there's probably more to my story that's happened before that time, but I would say, you know, through my childhood growing up and all that, but I would say that the be all and end of it, the icing on the cake, or the tipping point, which led to my PTSD and my depression, was that event that started 11 years ago.
So prior to 11 years ago, would you say that probably you was quite resilient with things that has happened in your life? Like you said, this was the icing on the cake, but in them times you've been quite resilient to sort of bounce back, and then this was the sort of
I think I've learned over, you know, I got bullied at school, my family issues and stuff like that, but you know, they're for a different time, but I would say I was pretty resilient, and then obviously what happened, we'll go into that shortly, and it kind of knocked me, and I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and I think it's something you're not born with, resilience, isn't it? You have to learn it, you have to pick it up as you go along, and
Right. So at UNMASK, one of the things that we do is pretty much talking. That's what we get people to do, is to talk about things. But I think one of the key things is that people need to be ready to talk, because sometimes it can be forced, if you know what I mean. And we always say, you know, in our groups and stuff like that, you know, you have to be ready to talk. So if you don't want to, we pass a little monkey round prior to lockdown, you know, we pass that monkey around, and you have to be ready to talk.
I'll just try to see if we can see the monkey, but he's not here, is he?
We've got one here. Oh heck, things falling off. So we pass a little monkey around, and that's sort of like your turn to talk. And if you don't want to, you pass it back on. You pass it on to the next person. You never get challenged to, oh no, come on, open up, because sometimes you're just not ready to. And there's been a number of times for me where I've not been ready to talk, and for me them times not necessarily as big as what other people are going through. I know it's important to remember that everyone's problem's as big as everyone else's, if you know what I mean. But for me, that at that time that I didn't open up, it was because I didn't deem my problem big enough.
Definitely, you're right in what you're saying though. You know, you've got to be ready when you're ready.
Yeah.
And for me, not being ready led to what I'm going through, or what I went through. And you know, that time was, for me at that point, was when I was ready to talk. So.
Do you think you're ready to talk now?
Yeah, let's go for it. As I said, I'm a little bit nervous because you know, we do this day in, day out. This is what we do. This is what we do. But I've never been sat on this side. I mean, we've been wanting to do this since we started, really, haven't we?
So we started in February 2019, and we've been wanting to do a podcast, a video sort of thing, the whole time that we've been. We always said that's what we want to do. We want to go down that route because it gives people an opportunity to talk and to reach out to an audience that they might never get a chance to do. You know, we've been very fortunate with the social media now reaching nearly 40,000 followers. So we have an avenue there to talk and stuff like that. We do the magazine where people have the opportunity, and we just want to give people, or to give anybody, a voice for one, but to have the facilities to do it, and different facilities, because people listen to podcasts on a day-to-day basis, you know, listen in the car, whatever it may be. I listen to them in bed, and then I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't see someone's voice on social media because I'm not on it at that time. So it just gives people a different opportunity to spread out, and right, we'll put them on the social media, we'll put them on the podcast, we'll put them on the video on YouTube or whatever it may be, and it just gets people to open up.
Yeah, definitely.
But I've got questions for later on.
I haven't seen these questions.
You haven't seen these questions? I've got questions for later on, but I didn't want to ask questions really about your story, because I wanted you just to speak from your heart, and obviously I'm going to try and instigate it as much as possible, but it might not happen. You might want to say it a little bit, you might want to say a lot. It's entirely up to you, Doug, and I guess that's why I said it about 5 minutes ago, that you have to be ready to talk. So if you don't feel like you can open up fully, please don't. But just from the beginning, 11 years ago, take us back. What happened 11 years ago that changed Doug Dennison?
Good question. So I think it's always a difficult one to talk about. It always will be. As I said, we do it day to day, but I find it difficult even then doing it. So first I'd apologise if all happens or all that, but 11 years ago, you know, I you knew me,
Yeah.
just a lad as you are, going about doing my stuff, just trying to have a bit of a laugh, giggle with my mates and stuff like that. And I, met a girl.
Yeah.
As you do, met a girl. We fell in love. We got pregnant, and we found out we was having identical twins. Now, that relationship moved pretty quick, pretty rapid, and we moved in together. We got a house, and one night I rolled over in bed and she wasn't there. She was nowhere to be seen. So she was actually in the bathroom going into labour. Quite traumatic. Didn't know what to do. Young lad, never been in that position before, and I thought, I know, I'll ring her dad. Easiest thing to do is ring her dad.
Yeah.
He owns a company. He's an intelligent man. He'll know what to do. And he's only a few doors away. And lo and behold, he come round. He said, "What's you around me for? You need to ring an ambulance."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that's what I did. I rang an ambulance, and it was very quick. It moved really quick. So we rang an ambulance, and we found out that the ambulance is not going to get there. You're on your own for 20 minutes to half an hour. We can't do anything. So what we did, we put the phone on loudspeaker, and Dad mainly got stuck in, and that was it. We had to deliver these babies and keep them alive, and that's what we did. We it's a bit of a haze, a bit of a blur of what actually went on.
Yeah.
And I think that's me trying to block out what actually happened and went on in that time. And I say it every time we do this
we actually spoke about this last week in first aid training, didn't we? About sort of reliving and going back. Is it a good thing to do? You said that you wanted to ask more questions to actually see what happened that day.
Yeah, because last week we had first aid, didn't we? And we listened to a 999 call, a live 999 call, and it was actually one of the trainer's friends. And then at the end of it, I said, I'd actually like to go back and listen to my 999 call and find out what actually happened and what was said, and
like how you react, things like that. Yeah.
But then he said, would that be a good idea? Because what you say in your mind, did that actually happen? What did you do the right thing? All you'd be doing is creating more trauma. So I've decided to obviously not do that.
Yeah, I think what I were concerned and I was concerned because as your friend, you're obviously concerned about your mates. And in my head, when you were talking about this during this session, for the last 5 minutes of the session, I was just thinking, what happens if you do listen to it, and the best case scenario is it plays out how you did, and you say you can go to bed at night and say, this is what I did, and I'm okay with that. But what happens if it didn't go that way, and you have a completely different story in your mind to what actually happened? Do you then beat yourself up over it? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what I were really concerned about. And I'm glad that I kept quiet through that whole conversation, and then I was going to interject at the end and just say that. And then luckily Huey from Phoenix Division actually said, I don't think it'd be a good idea, and give you them reasons, and then you were like, actually, I don't think it would be the good idea.
Yeah, I think the way to put it is are you content with what happened? In your head, are you content with what happened? And it's only when he's really said that I thought, actually I am, because I believe and I know what we did was right.
Exactly, yeah.
So I am, and I'm gonna leave that there, to be honest with you. And just that's where it needs to stay. So
yeah.
But moving on, what happened in that next 20 minutes to half an hour is, with the help of Dad, we delivered babies, they were born, we kept them alive, and then literally 30 minutes to 25 minutes to the hour, the ambulance service turned up, come running up the stairs, said, you've done a fantastic job, absolutely brilliant, they're still alive, let's get them to the hospital and we'll take them to Pinderfields where we'll put them on life support and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
You guys follow us on in the car, and we'll brush off it with the blue lights on, obviously. Now, we followed on in the car, but when we actually got there, it was a bit of a different story. So what was happening is my partner was outside crying and screaming because they wouldn't do anything. They said, we can't do anything, we're not allowed. And the confusion was in my head, well, why are you not allowed? Because when we left, everything was fine. You told us you were going to do this. And it turns out that what was happening is there was 3 days out of the gestation periods, so 3 days or a couple of days out, and legally what that means is they're not classed as a baby, they're still classed as well, I don't know what the word is, to be honest, it's still classed as not a human, basically, and it's all around legal abortions and stuff like that. But there was 3 days out, and what the ambulance service says, we can't do anything for 3 days, but if they survive for 3 days on their own, then we can take them to Pinderfields, we'll put on life support, and we'll go from there. Now, unfortunately, they didn't survive. They lived for a couple of minutes, and then they passed away.
Just before you move on, I've never asked you this question, and I've never asked you to speak about it like this. But you know, when you got to the back of the ambulance and they told you this, and they said we'll put them on life support, or you know, they have this chance. What were going through your head, or were you more concerned about is everyone else okay, sort of thing, or?
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I can't remember. I couldn't answer it. I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's a difficult question because I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
That whole hour was.
It's a bit like a blank.
It's a bit like a blank. It's a bit like I can fill bits in, but then there's certain bits I can't fill in because my mind won't let me fill it in.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah. So carry on where you were.
So yeah, we. Obviously that's what happened. They passed away, and in my head, I'm thinking, right, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And it was one of them where I thought, do you know what? I need to be strong for everybody else around me. I need to be there for my partner. The relationship didn't last very long after that, to be honest with you. We tried to make it work, but there was just too much going on.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought I'll bottle it up, I'll be all right. And eventually we split up and we went our separate ways. And that is like how it was left.
Yeah.
You know, it is one of them. If for a few years it was pretty bitter between us, but you know, if we do pass each other on the street or anything now, it's still not to the point of like, hi, how you doing? This and that. But it's just you're all right.
Like an acknowledgement. I know who you are. You know I am. We've got the same.
Yeah, that's it. That's the same thing. That's how it's been left.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. But what did I do? I ended up. Well, mainly just thinking, it's all right, forget about it, move on, and I won't talk about it because I don't need to talk about it. Nobody really needs to listen to what I've got to say, and everybody around me kind of did the same thing. Nobody ever brought it up, nobody mentioned it. I got the, are you all right, how are you, every now and again, but other than that, it was forgotten about, it wasn't mentioned, so then that helped me, but not helped me, if you know what I mean, at the same time, because it did just get forgotten about. And what I was doing, I was not turning to drink, I wasn't an alcoholic or anything like that, but, I turned to going out. Just going out, and, thinking, well, I've been in this relationship for so long, I just want to go out, I just want to forget stuff that's happened, I'll go out and drink, I'll go out and have a good time. And that's what I did. I went out and had a good time, and, 6 months down the line, 6 months later, I met another girl, and I ended up getting pregnant again. And it was one of them.
So it works then, yeah?
So it works, yeah, definitely works. But it was one of them, it was like, shit, what do I do now? What do I do?
Yeah.
There's a lot of doubt and fear in my mind, but, well then, it's happened, let's deal with it. And again, that relationship moved quickly, but every time we went for a scan, there was something wrong. But they couldn't tell us what. They said, you just need to come back, or you need to come back, or right, we're going to have a scan. I mean, it was getting to the point where we have scans every 2 weeks. We found out that the baby had something called Edwards syndrome. Now, not a lot of people know what Edwards syndrome is, and it's your chromosomes. So your chromosomes all come in pair.
Yeah.
Now, chromosome number 18 had 3 instead of the 2. And that's what it is, that's what caused it. And it's 1 in 5,000 babies. I've actually done a bit of research, and every time I tell this story, I say I haven't actually been able to look.
Yeah, you always say that, because I know you always say that you don't want to look back just in case things have changed now, things have progressed and things would be different, but
I did over this Christmas period, I have looked, purely because it was his 10-year anniversary, and I thought, you know what, it's a decade, it's mad.
Yeah.
So I looked. I've done a bit of research into it. And there's more I want to do with that later down the line. But yeah, it was something I looked, and we found out. By the time we found out, we had to go full term. But Yeah, we went full term, and Boxing Day, it was 2010, he was born. There he was, this perfect little boy, and we was given the option. We did a lot of research into, you know, what actually happens, because I'd never heard of this.
Yeah.
You know, it's completely new to me. We couldn't find anyone living over the age of 10. So we always knew what the outcome was going to be, and the doctor said, right, you've now got a choice. You can now either, you can put him on life support, that's going to be his life for however long he lives for, or you can just leave him and let him fight, and he'll fight on his own for as long as he can fight for. And we chose the latter, right or wrong, and that's what we thought.
Yeah.
You know, we thought that's what we need. And he lived for 2 hours, then he passed away peacefully. Now, to me, instantly, I thought, I've been here before, I know this works, I know what will happen. And I bottled it up again. I just thought, be strong for everybody else. You've been here before, you've dealt with it, rightly or wrongly, but that's what I did. And, you know, the relationship, we got married. Yeah. We have a little boy, he's 8. So, you know, good
legend,
things do, you're legend, well, legend, yeah. But, you know, good things do come from bad situations. I say, you know, we've now got an 8-year-old, but we got married, but we're no longer together, we're divorced, you know, and again, it's one of them things, it's, you know, it's we're divorced for the right reason, it didn't work out, but we've got a child. Yeah. But I think one of the big factors and change point within that relationship is, you know, I chose no longer that for whatever reason. I didn't want to be. I just couldn't cope anymore, because I bottled things up, and I would try to deal with other things that were going on. And it got to a point where I just thought, you know what, I can't take it anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. And I actually tried to drive my car into a wall. And what I did, you know, as I was doing that, I thought, why am I doing this? You know, I've got a beautiful little boy. I need to stop. So I did, and, you know, rightly or wrongly, am I ashamed of myself for doing it? Probably, yeah, I am. I still live with it every day. You know, it's. I'm not going to say that them thoughts don't come and go, because, you know, that they do, and, you know, but I know how to manage it, and I know how to deal with it. Yeah. But I bottled it up. I didn't tell anybody, because I thought, if I tell everybody I've done this, that's it. I'm an outcast. Nobody will want to know me. They'll think I'm nuts. And you didn't know? Nobody knew. No one knew. So just a bit of it. There's about 20 of us, maybe not 20, I don't know. 20, 15 to 20. 15 to 20, 25 even. 25 even. Big group of friends that are all really close friends. We could probably not message one another for about a year and still, you know, drop a message, and it'll be like we spoke yesterday. So we had a good group of friends, but none of us knew. And, you know, when I do a talk, we talk about this. And we talk about this situation, and, you know, out of the 20 people, 19 of us didn't know, and the only person that did know were you, and that's who we're bottling it up. And I think I'll let you carry on, but what I'm going to say is just the amount of support that you got from the lads once you did actually have the courage to open up. Was unbelievable. I think it was one of them where, you know, I bottled it up and I didn't talk about it, because, like I said, I was ashamed or embarrassed. But when I did talk about it, I said, like, this is what's happened, it was completely the opposite. They were like, why didn't you tell us? You know, we could have done something, or we could have helped, or we could have done this. But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You know, when you're ready to talk, you will do. Yeah, definitely. And not before. But, you know, it was at that point as well when I eventually had a bit, you know, I bottled it up for so long again that this is so, I was battling with bottling up the first one, then the second one, then the third thing, you know, try to figure out live with what I'd done. And it got to the point where a couple of years had passed, and I thought, do you know what, I'm feeling like that again. But by this time I've met my new partner, I met Rebecca. Yeah. And, you know, it was when I was talking to you and Rebecca that I got that push. I got that push, and I got that you need to go see someone, you need help. And obviously they're both directed, and Rebecca to AMC, which, you know, and I'll say, you know, if it hadn't been for that happening, I probably wouldn't be here. Yeah, because you became quite a big member of AMC, and for anyone listening and watching, AMC is Andy's Man Club. They're based all over the country, and it's peer support groups for men, and it's only men in it. Yeah. All right, yeah. And I've been a couple of times. Great experience with it, and it's a bit like a brotherhood, a really close camaraderie sort of thing. Yeah, definitely.
But they did play a key role in your life, I'd say, and helping you support, because you ended up becoming a facilitator of a group.
Did you?
You weren't just an attendee of the group, you became a facilitator of the group, so actually supporting other people. So you got to a point in your life where you was asking for support, I guess, without actually saying, I need support. You were sort of asking for support by going to the group and then turning that around to, right, I'm feeling different. I won't say better, but I'm feeling different. I'm going to give support now. So they must have noticed that and then said, Doug can facilitate now.
But yeah, that's exactly how it was. And it was that moment in my life when I thought, this is the path I want to go down. And I know from now on I need to talk about things. Yeah, I'm probably still a bit of a closed book. Yeah. And I think I always will be, but that's just the way I am. That's just the way I've programmed my brain to work, and rightly or wrongly, as I keep saying, that's how I deal with it, and but that's the traumas, that's what's led me to this point, to where I am now, and to obviously UNMASK.
Yeah. So all that stuff's happened in your life. You're at this point now.
I'm at that point now, and it gets to a point where you try and you think, is it me? Is there something wrong with me? Well, I've had that incident there. They'd be born early. Then I've had another baby with Edwards syndrome, and then me and Rebecca recently lost a baby as well. Yeah,
that's something that you never talk about.
That's something I never talk about, and that plays a massive part of my life, because when that moment happened, it was a shock. It came as a surprise. Yeah, and it was one of them thinking, what do we do? What if what happens again? What if this happens? And we got to the point where it was, it's not going to happen again. This won't happen. It gets to the point where you're thinking of names, and then lo and behold, it does happen. I think, it's happened again. I try not to swear, but you think,
it's real life, though, isn't it? It came up a couple of weeks ago, didn't it, on a social media about, you did a post about an achievement, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. I forgot what it was.
I forgot what it was, but
I think it had been for a run.
It was your 5 a.m. You'd been for a 5 a.m. run or 5:30 a.m. run. You was really chuffed that you'd done it, and you swore in the text on the main page, which there's no problem with that. But
it's in the content.
Because it was in the context of what you was, you was just so excited that you swore in the post. But I mean, we're adults, aren't we? And take it or leave it. But the majority of I think there was one or two comments that said, I'm going to report this because you've used to swear a word in the post, and then there was a barrage of comments just saying, no, you don't have to apologise for swearing. It's in the context. You were just so happy,
you're in the moment, you're happy,
and you've achieved this goal, and so where we are today, we nearly 2 years into UNMASK, nearly 2 years, which will be I think we planned to do celebrations last year and the year before. Like when after his first month, we planned to do a celebration or something like that, but we ain't got round to it yet. And I think that's purely because there's just always something happening.
Yeah, definitely.
We could plan for doing a ball or a masquerade ball or whatever. Unmasquerade ball, or we could plan a big do here in the office, but obviously with the current situation, that's put a dampener on it. But there's just always something going on at UNMASK where it sort of overtakes us partying about being around for 2 years.
That's what I was doing this time. I'm having a baby.
Yeah, that's a good celebration.
Are you
going to call this baby UNMASK?
I'm going to call it Mask.
Mask. Call it White Table Talks.
White Table Talks.
I won't press you for names, because that's something that we always wanted to keep really close to.
I was actually thinking about names last night in bed, to be honest with you, and I think I've come up with the perfect name, but I won't say it.
Please be Logan Jr.
No, it's not. I was thinking about it in bed, and I think I've come up with the perfect name. Although I have forgot it now, so I should have written it down.
Yeah, you should have written that down, mate.
Should have written it down, probably.
Yeah, definitely. So, your role in UNMASK, obviously founder of UNMASK Mental Health, the charitable organisation. So we do the peer support groups and the app and the counselling service and stuff like that. And your role in there as a founder and a trustee, and it never stops. That's a 24-hour role, 24-hour, 7 days a week role. We haven't really had a break over Christmas and stuff like that.
Well, you haven't, I have.
Well, I am, yeah. You've had a bit of a break. I've been coming into the office, but I've been bringing my daughter in and stuff like that. But it hasn't really had a break, because you are on your phone and you're doing bits on your laptop and stuff, even though you think, oh, all right, it's holiday now and I'll have a break. But on the business side of things, so many people don't actually know there's two sides to Unmasked. So there's Unmasked Mental Health, which is the charitable side. And then there's a completely separate part called Unmasked Mental Health and Wellbeing Limited.
Separate things, isn't it?
Yeah. So Unmasked Mental Health and Wellbeing Limited. And to put it into a nutshell, I guess there's many different things that we can do with Unmasked Mental Health and Wellbeing Limited. But I guess the overall view on it is that we're a training company. Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
That's pretty much it. We're a training company, aren't we? And
so we deliver training.
Yeah, we deliver training, any kind of training to do with mental health. So, we've just recently had mental health first aid that we provided. We provide the mental health first aid England, 2 day, 1 day, adult, youth, provide it all. Yeah.
Bit of a selfless plug there, eh? But so what I wanted to get at is your role within the limited company. Yeah. Director.
Yeah.
Sales.
I'd say sales. Yeah.
So Doug takes care of the sales of Unmasked, the training company. And what I wanted to ask you is, I think we've spoke about it briefly in person, me and you, but and possibly some of the other members of Unmasked, like Robin and Pete, when we've had as little board meetings and stuff like that, which are getting bigger, which is weird. Yeah, which is kind of weird for us.
I think we're due one as well, aren't we?
Yeah, because we're just two lads from a small town, and that's a small town that's getting bigger, but we're just two lads from Halifax.
Before we went into this, we knew nothing about running a charity, nothing about running a business. Yeah. But here we are 2 years down the line.
And it's like first meeting, we're like in a little shoebox of an office. Yeah. And now we have a full
four-roomed
big meeting boardroom and stuff like that, and we've come so far. But what's been the biggest challenge within your specific role? So if we use your role as sales, what's been your biggest challenge through the past 2 years? And have you overcome it or have you not? So think of a challenge. I think I can think of the challenge for you.
I know it, and as daft as this sounds, when this airs, it'll be 2021 because it's New Year's Eve today.
It might drop it today.
But for me, this year has been my biggest challenge in business, because we worked so hard last year to get his name out there, to provide all these services to businesses, and it was getting to the point where I literally was on the phone. Can we offer you this? Can we do this? Have you got anybody for your mental health training? Have you got this? And it got to the point where last year, January of this year, was getting booked. We were getting bookings. I wasn't having to make the phone calls anymore. People was coming to us for the work. And then COVID struck, and it was just like it had been flipped on its head. All that work we'd done and all that calling we'd done just disappeared. People were cancelling on us left, right and centre, and it was squeaky bum time for me.
Me and Doug, I think this is why we work so well. It's because we're completely different people. We've got similar personalities, and stuff like that, but we're different people in regards to what we do as a business. Me, I'm a bit more relaxed, I've come into the office I can think of it going back a fair few months ago, probably middle of the lockdown, the first lockdown, the big one. The big one. And I came into the office and I could tell that you pretty much about to bawl your eyes out.
Do you know what it was?
Do you remember that time up at the office?
I do.
And it was the time where it was like, right, do we have to stop doing what we've been doing? And I could tell that's what was going through your head. And I don't know why I'm so relaxed about it and stuff, but I think what's in my head is that the charity is always going to be there, and that's what we started out as, and that's what we always aim to just be, is just the charity. And it just happened that we were like, right, we don't want to take money from the charity, we want to pay as mortgage, as rent, as bills or whatever, through a different company. And then we came up with the training type of things, and that's when we went down that training route. And it's been super hard, sort of getting his name out there, because we're known for the charity,
Definitely,
but we're not known for training, but it's different now.
It's different. I think what you've got to think about is, if that training company disappeared, that charity will always be there.
Yeah.
And even if I went back to selling vehicles,
I think that's what I try to install in your head. And I know it's like that every single, every time that you get that sort of squeaky bum time, that's what I try to come out with is, look mate, if it goes back to, we have to go back to sales. My background's in working for the council, and if I have to go back to the council, I'm going to go back to the council, but UNMASK Mental Health is always going to be there, and that brand, that logo, that face of UNMASK is always going to be us, and it's always going to be there forever.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's what makes me so relaxed about it.
The charity's growing and growing and growing, isn't it? But, flip, 6-9 months ago, COVID in a way has helped the business.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Especially over this last month, this last month, 2 months, it gets to the point, it does get to the point, and it scares me every time. I think, right, is today the day I shut the door in the UNMASK mental health and wellbeing office and say we can't continue as a training company anymore?
Yeah.
And it's probably around about that time now, if I'm honest with you.
The weird thing is, though, the office won't shut.
Yeah, the office won't shut because the charity's still being.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's right now. It's sort of like, I think you could take that with it, as well. That I don't think the training company will ever shut.
I don't think it will. I think
we have the two that's that's here. This is the charity's office.
Yeah, and it would be like, if we were to go back to normal jobs, it would be still plugging away with the charity as we do, in his own time, home or whatever on the Thursdays. But I'd probably still be sat behind a desk somewhere working for a motor company, selling vans, and then on Sly,
coming in here,
working from my little desk in wherever, and does anybody need any mental health training? And then taking a holiday to do that training just to try and get it back up and running.
Right now, it'd probably be that you'd be working from home anyway.
Yeah.
So you'd be working from home, and you'd secretly sat in this office.
Well, yeah.
But that's not going to happen, mate. So let's not think about that.
Definitely.
Because I see brighter things happening for UNMASK Mental Health and Wellbeing Limited.
Yeah, we've got some great people on board now. That's the thing.
Got good people on board, and we're being recognised for a training company now. Not just. I say just. I hate that word when I use it like this, but not just a mental health charity.
Yeah.
We're getting noticed as a training company now.
People recognise as well that they are two separate things.
Reputable companies within our local area and the country.
Definitely, yeah.
We did his first international talk to, how many countries was it? How many was it? 30?
30 countries it was, or 30 locations.
30
across
locations
the globe, wasn't it?
across the world, yeah. So there were countries like India, and it was countries like India, America,
Australia, China, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all over.
And it's because we're good at what we do.
Yeah. Not blowing me on trumpet.
Yeah, I am blowing his own trumpet because we are good at it.
Yeah, it's because we've got a passion. We love what we do.
Exactly.
That's the thing. That's why I get so worried when it does get to that point. I think they went up to shut up, because I wouldn't want to go back to my 9-to-5 job.
I don't want to.
I wouldn't. I absolutely love what we do, and I love when we've been in somewhere to a workplace and people come up to us and say, "Do you know what? You guys are real." And
that's touched a straight heartstring sort of thing.
It's touched my heartstring. I understand where you guys have been and the journey you've been through, because there's yourself. We'll do your podcast later on.
Yeah.
Not today. And then we've got Robin as well. And our journeys are so powerful and so and when we do go in and tell our stories to people, they go, "Do you know what? I see myself in you." And that's, to me, that light bulb moment when people go, if they can do it, if they can get through that, I can.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I love what we do.
Yeah. So what I actually thought you was going to say as a challenge within your role, within your role in sales, because I've heard it on the other end of the phone. Mental health doesn't exist. In our poor mental health doesn't exist here. And then hanging up the phone. I thought that was going to be one of your biggest challenges, because it doesn't. It's not just happened once.
It happens a lot. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just something that's happened once and it's stuck with us and we talk about it. It happens all the time where people say, "Nah, it doesn't happen here. No one's got poor mental health here."
I reckon
we don't need training like that.
Out of 100 phone calls, if I were to make 100 phone calls today, I reckon 20 of them would turn around and say, mental health doesn't exist, or we ain't got time for that. And I always remember that company. I know what sale it is.
Yeah.
But I always remember that company we rang and they said, mental health, no, we ain't got time for that yet.
And they're not small.
They're not small. They're
One of the biggest
company. And I'm like,
companies we spoke
oh
to.
my god. But I'm hoping they, we sent them an email after, and well, I'm not really hoping, but I am. They ring back and said, you know what, guys, let's get you in.
Yeah.
And
good.
yeah, it's just when people say that, it's like, how? But it just baffles me every time. And I think now it's, especially what's going on, 2021 is going to be tough.
Yeah.
And right now, not just us, this is where things like this are needed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So moving on to next question's a bit strange, but it's not, because we've been asked this before, and I've asked you this before, but if you had an extra £1 million, say, right, which, put it out there, we don't have an extra £1 million.
I wish we did.
But you had an extra £1 million in your budget, right, and this is not for the charity,
it's for
the business.
Right.
How are you spending it?
Do you know how I would spend it? If we had an extra £1 million in the business, I would. I don't mean this bad.
So scenario, someone comes along, they listen to this podcast, right, they listen to White Table Talks, and they say, do you know what, these guys are different, I like them,
I want to invest.
I love what they're doing, I want to invest, right, and they come up to us, it's like Dragon's Den, and they say, right, do us a bit of a pitch, we tell them what we do, we tell them who we are, blah blah blah, and then they say, right, I want to invest £1 million into you, what are you going to spend it on?
So I think about this a lot as well. I would spend it on someone that does sales. And I'd spend it on someone that does marketing.
Yeah.
So one thing we've had to learn very quickly is like I've been the salesman, but I've never been a sales director.
Yeah.
And you've done marketing and stuff like that, but you've never done a marketing director's role. But if I would spend that £1 million, I'd put some of that into a budget to get someone to do your job.
What, just one person?
No, someone to do your job, someone to do my job.
Yeah.
So we can concentrate on going out and delivering our talks, because that is what I love to do. When we signed up for this, I didn't realise that I have to be an accounts man. I have to be a bank man. I have to be a sales manager. I have to be a postman, a mailroom. I have to be so many different roles to you. We've got so many different roles to do, but if I could get someone to do all them jobs and say, we've got these guys, I'd have another office as well in down south or whatever, but I'd also want to crack America as well. Crack America or crack Australia. I put a lot of money into opening another office over there.
Opening up an UNMASK mental health and wellbeing over in a different country. International waters. And then it kind of fitting that you mentioned all these different stuff that we have to do separately, or we're doing together or separately. You're better at doing the bills and stuff like that from us than I am, and me might be a bit better at doing posts and social media and marketing.
This is not just fall up, this is Logan's work.
It is. I'm quite proud of it. But what's been the biggest failure? Not COVID. Don't say COVID, right? Because we all know about COVID. All right. But what's been the biggest failure in the last year, and why do you think it happened?
I don't really know.
If there is one.
I don't really know.
It could be a failure of you didn't make a brew properly. You know what I mean? Like, it might be because there's always something, and there's that saying, like, it's not a failure, it's a lesson. But so we can change that. What's been the biggest lesson that you've had in the last year?
The biggest lesson I've had in the last year, it's a difficult one.
It's really difficult.
My biggest lesson is learning to be where we are now, and that's probably don't make sense, but
no, I don't.
But learning to be where we are now, because, and you said don't use COVID or don't use that, but everything we've taken over the last 2 years, or everything, like when we very first started out, we went to all these networking meetings, to try and get a business and this and the other, and everyone spoke to us like we knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, because we do know what we're doing, we're just not as...
We're not businessy like businessy words, and have you done your projected forecast?
Yeah, that's what's in it.
I was like, what? What's the projected forecast? Oh, now we have to Google that.
Yeah, it's like, to me, overcoming that and learning to answer them questions. And I always remember one guy sat down with us, and it just goes to the charity side, and it was when we were sat down, in fact it was in their office across the road, and he prepared us for these questions. He said, right, you're going to get answered these questions, you're going to get asked these questions and this questions and this question, and he said if you can answer them questions before you're asked, they won't get asked.
Yeah, I remember that.
And to me that was a life lesson, because that's how we've projected ever since.
I think it was to do with a pitch, wasn't it? It was to do with a pitch on the app.
Yeah.
And I remember that conversation, like saying basically, you know, what you're saying is great, but they're going to ask you questions. So try to think of their questions before to answer them while you're doing your pitch.
And then when you ask them, you ask them at the end, has anybody got any questions? They're like,
there's no one
to ask because you've answered it. Yeah. And that, to me, that's one of the biggest lessons I learned, because, you know, it's been tough. Running a business has been tough, but do you know what? We've done it, and there is really no negatives to come out of it, I don't think.
No, when you do something like this, I think not mental health, I mean business in general. So whether you own a soap company or whatever it may be, or whatever, these little pop-up businesses that are happening now, I think you should just be proud of what you've done and what you've achieved, because like Doug said earlier on, we've not come from like a business background, we've not come from this sort of background, and we just said, you know what, let's grab it by the balls and just do it.
Let's quit his jobs.
Let's quit his jobs and just do it.
Which was a difficult thing to do, because at the time,
jobs were good.
My partner's jobs were good. I had a good job, you had a good job. Partners were both in university, so they had no income. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we've gone,
let's quit his jobs.
Let's quit his jobs. I want to run a charity and I want to run a business. And they're like, what? Are you mad?
Yeah.
And you know what? Together, collectively, we've made it work. Yeah. You know, Charlotte's made it work. Rebecca's made it work. But you know, without them two, you know, they're as much as it as we are.
Oh yeah, too right. Yeah.
You know,
because they have a lot of belief and support.
Yeah, definitely, and they give us that drive. They give us that kick up the arse. Yeah. So.
This has turned into one of them podcasts that I'm going to have to put like an advisory warning on, because I keep swearing, Doug.
Arse is not a swear word.
But so what's the future looking like, Doug? Before we wrap it up. What's the future looking like for you and UNMASK, or just you in your personal life? Because you've got something pretty big happening soon, haven't you?
Yeah. 16 days after this podcast, I'm actually self-isolating for 14 days because the baby's due.
And then you'll be on maternity.
And I'm on maternity for 2 weeks, so I won't be in this office for the next month.
Is it paternity for a minute?
Paternity, yeah. So I won't be actually in this office for the next month. I'll be working from home for the next 2 weeks. The reason being is because we are having a baby in 16 days, and you know, if I get COVID within that 16 days, Rebecca has to go in there by herself and give birth, and that's not what we want.
No,
so,
it's a special time.
Yeah. I want to be there. So I'd rather lower that risk and work from home. And then I've got my paternity for 2 weeks where I'll be turned off, so it's all on you.
It's all on me, it's all on my shoulders.
Which is what happened today. But yeah, I think the future, I'm just looking, I'm excited, I'm worried, but I'm excited about what's going to happen as well for UNMASK, because on the projection of what's happened in the last 2 months, I think we've got a very strong start to 2021.
Yeah, I do too, yeah.
And I'm really excited about it, and you know, if anybody does want us in the workplace, I'm going to do a shameless plug.
Well, I'm going to say, mate, towards the end, like, is there anything you want to add? You know, is there anything you want to plug? Anything that's exciting coming up that you want to talk about? I've got stuff that I need to talk about. So
I know what you've got to talk about. Do you want to talk about the charity, and then I'll talk about the business? And
go for it, mate. Talk about the business.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about UNMASK Mental Health and Wellbeing, because that's what we were doing. As Logan said, we do have a limited company, and I'm the sales director for it. And we provide anything mental health. So mental health first aid, mental health awareness sessions, peer support into the workplace, which is needed right now. And we also provide wellbeing reviews. So if anybody's listening to this and thinks, you know what, I need some of that in my workplace right now, please get in touch at doug@unmaskmentalhealth.co.uk, or you can give us a call on 01422 356 945.
I like it because people that are listening won't have seen you do that, but people that watch, you know, that your eyes went straight up to this number that you can actually see on the camera.
It's a new number.
I've remembered it twice now.
If you're listening from abroad as well, if you just add +44 onto that, then that is perfect. So it's +44 01422 356 945.
Nice little plug there.
So our website is www.unmaskworkplace.co.uk. It's currently down at the moment because we're rebuilding it to reflect what we do. But yeah, I'll pass you over to Logan for the charitable side of things, because we've got some pretty big things coming up for 2021.
Yeah, it's quite weird doing this podcast because I've got to try to imagine you as not my colleague, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been trying to do this whole time.
But now we are.
But now we are, I guess. Yeah. So, Unmasked Mental Health, the charity. We do peer support, basically. And very recently we started with this counselling, didn't we?
Yes.
So counselling starts again in January, which I'm super excited about.
2 new counsellors.
We should be having 2 new counsellors, not replacing old counsellors. So we should have 4 in total. So going from 2 days of support to 4 days, which will be unreal. That's what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some volunteer counsellors that will be helping out, coming from universities. I think Salford University.
Salford, yeah, I think.
So that's super exciting. And then, as hubs have been closed for the past 2 weeks, but just due to the days that they fall on, it's a Thursday, so I think it was Christmas Eve. New
Year's Eve, so we had Dual Hub tonight, wherever we are. I don't think we're having one tonight, are we? So.
Well, they're not officially open, no, but we have actually. This is the Solly Bridge one has secretly been open for the past 2 weeks, mate. So the Solly Bridge one was open last week, and they're actually having it
tonight.
Is it Thursday today?
It's Thursday today.
Yeah, so they're having it tonight as well, which is fine. They've sorted it out themselves. They've arranged it themselves. So, but in the new year, on the 7th, we have the normal hubs back open again. So we have the Brighouse hub open.
Yep.
Which again, something exciting might be happening with that. But we want more people to attend the Brighouse hub, so we're looking for that. We have the Solly Bridge one officially open again.
Yep.
And then what our aim is to just try and get these pins back up on this board, innit, Doug?
Definitely.
So we have I don't think you'll be able to see it on the camera, but basically we have a map of England, and we have Calderdale mapped out as well. But we started before COVID. We had, I think it was 6 in Calderdale, and then 11 more pins on the board to open up.
Yep.
And obviously what's happened, it's just thrown a massive spanner in the works. But we're gonna get going again. They're gonna get going again.
Yeah. So the aim is to get within an hour's drive of any location in the UK. So, and then maybe some internationally. But for anybody that's, what is a hub? What is a hub, Logan?
So a hub is. Thanks. Are you asking me the question?
I'm asking you the question now. What is a hub?
So the hub is it's peer support group. It's for women and men 16 plus. All right. It's anyone can come along. You come along, have a brew. We sit round in a circle, basically, or a shape of some sort. It's ended up being oblongs or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's not a circle. But what we do is we try to eliminate any obstacles in front of you. So we just take away tables and stuff like that, and it's just a group. We sit down, we have a brew. There's some bickies that go around. Obviously, individual wrap because of COVID friendly. Yes, but bickies, cakes, and stuff like that. I mean, the Solid Bridge one's really good because there's somebody that attends there that always brings baked goods. So the shortbread biscuits, and stuff like that comes. Love it. But then we ask 5 questions, so these are structured questions, and it's not focused on mental health. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily, we don't really mention the word.
How's your mental health?
How's your mental health, yeah. It's not that. It's they're just sort of opening questions. So question 1's always the same, how's your week been? Because we generally don't get asked how's your week been. It's normally you pass someone in the street. If I pass you in the street, it's, hey mate, you alright?
Yeah, fine.
And that's it. Yeah, fine. You're not going to say, actually mate, no, I'm not alright. Because that never happens. But if you stopped and say, hey mate, how you doing? How's your week been? Or, again, spanner in the work. Alright, okay. So how's my week been? And then you start getting talked. You start opening up. Question 2, for example. I've got an example here so we can share it.
You give them out.
Giving away the secrets. Giving away the secrets. If you had a friend who spoke to you in the same way that you sometimes speak to yourself, how long do you think you'd let them do it for? So again, it's not a question that's focused on mental health, but what it does is it opens things up and makes you think about things. Actually, yeah, I do talk to myself a bit naff. Do you know what I mean? And if that was somebody else doing it, I wouldn't be friends with them straight. You know what I mean? I'd get rid of them, get them out of my life. And that's sometimes what we have to do with his thoughts, is, you know, how we speak to ourselves about his body, about what we're doing, or constantly putting ourselves down, aren't we?
Definitely.
So yeah, that's an example. Question 3 is always the same again. It's always, is there anything you'd like to unmask? So yeah, is there anything you'd like to unmask? So that's quite a bit of a, I guess it's self-explanatory question, I guess.
Yeah. Good, bad, sad, funny.
Yeah, it's anything you want to get off your chest, really.
Better out there.
That's sort of what that question means. Is there anything you want to get off your chest that you've not spoken about before, or you've spoken about it before but you just want to say it?
Definitely, because it's better out than in. Once you've said it, you can leave it in the room and that's it. You never have to mention it again.
Exactly. And in question 4, we have 2 more questions after this, so we have a 4 and a 5. Question 5 is always usually quite
jovial.
This example that I've got here that we're actually using this week at the Sawyer Bridge one, because I've done some questions for them, even though they've organised it. But this one's just a bit different. It's not that opening, but it's what's something that used to scare you that no longer does. You know, so it might be that, oh well, over the lockdown period I've been stuck in house and all them spiders that come out, I'm no longer scared of spiders. You know what I mean? Something like that. And then question 4 is, if you could put a message on a billboard for everyone to see, what would it say and why? So if you could put one big quote up on the wall. And these are the sort of the questions that we ask. They vary week to week. Some weeks are a bit more emotional. Yep. Some weeks are a bit more happier. Some weeks are a bit of a mix. And that's pretty much what a hub is, mate.
It's pretty much how the hub works, isn't it?
Yeah, so after that, we run it from 7 till 9 on a Thursday night. We don't usually go past 9 because it's all volunteer-led.
Yep.
And the facilitators, we have a facilitator, co-facilitator and stuff like that. And like Doug said, we're trying to open them up all over the country within an hour's drive of each location.
So if you want one, get in touch.
Get in touch, yeah. If you think you can help us out,
facilitate one, provide a room.
Definitely, yeah. And then we have a new one opening on the 7th. It's sort of new, but it's not sort of new, but it is sort of new, if you know what I mean. So we've always had a Halifax hub.
Yeah.
And it's had two homes.
2 homes
since we started 2 years ago.
Yeah, Caldale Smart Move.
It was a Smart Move.
Then it moved to Fire Station.
But Fire Station have said that they're not opening their community room for foreseeable future. They can't manage the safety there, if you know what I mean, like, because it's...
A lot of people use that room, don't they? So they can't guarantee that the last person in there will clean that room.
Yeah, so what we were doing when we were there, we'd go into the room, they'd unlock it for us, we'd make our own brews, we'd set up the room and everything like that, and then at the end of the night, you just turn the lights off and go.
Done, yeah.
So... what because they're obviously on call, it's like you'd have to clean down everything and they just eliminate that process. So we've actually got a new place.
Iconic.
It's an iconic place within West Yorkshire, probably in England. It's pretty well known.
It's an old cloth market.
I know, and it's not as iconic as Eureka.
Is it? It's more iconic, yeah.
Everyone knows Eureka.
Yeah,
putting Halifax on the map is Eureka. But so is this place as well, and it's the Peace Hall.
Yeah, the Peace Hall.
The Peace Hall, massive place in Halifax, in Caldale, West Yorkshire, really well known. They've been kind enough to offer us a room for free.
So that is the new home for Halifax. We've just gone, well, it's like a partnership with them, aren't they? We're going to hold a massive event there, charitable event there next year as well, to raise some funds.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but that's about it really for. From me for the charitable side. We've got some, we're always looking to do some more fundraising and stuff. We've got a few big events coming up.
Yeah, me and you are riding John O'Groats to Land's End, aren't we?
John O'Groats to Land's End.
August.
Yeah. So that's going to be pretty exciting to do.
We're looking for sponsors for that as well. We're looking for people to join us, and we're looking for businesses to sponsor us as well if they want to.
Yeah, so we've got that challenge ahead. We've got another big challenge with the Peace Hall. I won't really mention who's involved and stuff like that, but it's going to be a biggie.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a biggie with the Peace Hall. Again, they've been amazing supporters of us that are offering that location, that venue. And I say, and not just a room. It's the whole of the Peace Hall. So super excited for that one. And then there's some more fundraising here and there and stuff like that that's happening, which is always exciting. I want to just give a quick mention to Ultra Lucky Competitions.
Yeah.
Always, they started supporting us a couple of months ago. They originally came in with the idea of, we're going to give you 5% of profit of what we take and donate it to you guys. So over the moon with that. You know, someone could donate us a 50p and we'd be happy with that. But what they decided, what happened is that someone won one of their cash prizes. They donated £5, I think it was, £5 or £10. Yeah. They started it off, and they said, "Oh, I want to donate this to your charitable cause." So it started off with like a £5 or a £10. Next thing you know, everyone that's joining the Ultra Lucky Competitions, sort of their raffles, they're donating. Yeah. The first month, which was
400
October,
yeah,
wasn't
October,
it?
yeah.
It was for October. It was 400 and something. I think it was 443.
Something, yeah.
I think it was 443. I feel bad for not knowing the exact sum, but 443.
Then it went up.
Got donated, and then they doubled it for the month of November. Yeah. So, which they've just managed to send across, which I'm so grateful for. But they managed to get 882 pounds donated from their supporters. So not just from Ultra Lucky, but from their supporters of their page. And I think you've had a conversation. They've already got a couple of hundred for December. So big shout out to them guys at Ultra Lucky Competitions. You can find them on social media, on Facebook as Ultra Lucky Competitions. I think they're also on Instagram as well.
On Instagram.
And then I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors as well.
I was just going to say that.
Another quick shout out to our good friend, and he's actually a part of UNMASK, one of the directors of UNMASK Mental Health and Wellbeing, one of the trustees of UNMASK Mental Health, Pete Clark, from Global Partnership Training. Another training company, but they specialise in different stuff to what we
health and safety.
More health and safety, first aid, physical first aid, and they do everything, all different types of training. So I just wanted to give them a bit of a push, a bit of a shout out, because they've supported us from day one. Yeah. And their name's been a part of us, been around us since day one. Pete Clark, Dave Mariner, absolute legends, and they support everything that we do. So shout out to them. And then, do you want to mention?
So for every hub we open, so every location we open, we always try and get a business to sponsor that hub. So in Brighouse, it's LA Brook. And Town Dental, that sponsor that hub, and Town Dental supply the room, and LA Brook donates every month, but he also supplies all the cleaning products to all our hubs. Yeah. So that's an amazing thing.
So hand sanitizers, wipes, sprays. I think that spray there, you spray it up in the air before you leave the room. Settles, kills any bacteria, or even
Yeah. So our hubs are completely COVID secure.
Wears masks.
Wears masks, yeah. So the hubs are completely COVID secure thanks to the guys at LA Brook. And then we've got our Halifax hub, which is supplied by Peace Hall and Synergy Procurement as well. So they sponsor that hub as well by donating every month. So
a big thank you to them. Without them, we won't be able to do some stuff. We won't be able to do stuff. We rely a lot on fundraising and sponsorships.
All our services are free out there, so it's no matter what service you use, whether it be the app that we've got, the counselling service, the walks, the peer support groups. The counselling service is the only one we charge for, but it's a minimum donation, and it's purely to keep it going because we pay for counsellors to come in.
So we just really appreciate everything, and that concludes our first ever official White Table Talks, Doug.
Thank you for having me across your white table.
Yeah. You're the guest today.
I'm the guest today. It's been fantastic talking to you. And what's next? Who have you got on next?
Well, there's a big list. There's a big list of people, but I think what we might do is you actually interview me next time.
Yeah, we might have to do that via Zoom, but we can do it.
We might do that, yeah. We've got a number of people that are going to come on, some big people.
Definitely. If you want to come and tell your story as well, then please get in touch, because that's what this White Table Talks is for. It's to give you a voice and to let you tell your story when you are ready.
Yeah. Definitely. So we've got a couple of our volunteers coming on.
Yep.
A couple of people from different podcasts that are wanting to come on.
Really?
So I'm excited to do that. And but yeah, we'll figure it out. And I just want to make this a regular thing. And we'll sign off as always, mate.
Yes.
I hope you all stay happy. I hope you all stay healthy.
And let's continue to unmask the stigma of mental health, guys.
Take care.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for coming on today, Doug.
Cheers, mate.
No worries.